DJ Academy for Managerial Excellence is promoted by a trust called GKD Charity Trust. Again, this trust is promoted by Lakshmi Machine Works, popularly known as LMW. Of course, they are the pioneers as well the market leaders as far as manufacturing textile machinery is concerned. And this is a 20-year-old MBA institution offering 2 years full-time MBA program under Bardiyar University. With reference to the forum called Duologue, again, it's a dialogue with the corporate leaders. And this is the second edition of this particular forum. Of course, the first edition was felicitated by one Mr. T. Natarajan, Indian Administrative Services. He is the special advisor of Executive Director of India, International Monetary Fund, Washington, DC. So he was the first speaker for the first edition of Duologue. And of course, we are pleased to have Mr. Arjun, who is the CEO of Ranga Rao and Sons Private Limited, popularly known as Cycle Agarbathies. Popularly known for Cycle Agarbathies. And sir, we are so pleased to have you with us and we welcome you.
Thank you.
And here is a brief introduction about Mr. Arjun. Arjun, currently, he is the Chief Executive Officer of Ranga Rao and Sons, the manufacturer of Cycle Pure Agarbathies, as well other popular brands in the country. Ranga Rao and Sons is the flagship company of NR Group, and of course, under the leadership of Mr. Arjun M Ranga, this particular group of companies has been growing by leaps and bounds. Mr. Arjun holds an engineering degree from Mysore and an MBA from Thunderbird, USA, and of course, certifications in various professional development courses. And before taking over from his dad, he has held coveted positions in the corporate, and then he joined his own family business. Currently, he is the president of All India Agarbathi Manufacturers Association, and he is the past chairman of CAI Mysore chapter. Once again, a warm welcome to you, Mr. Arjun.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Arjun, we have grouped all the questions into 4 sections. Namely, the first section will be dealing with the general economy, the macro perspective. The second one with reference to your particular industry in which you are the market leader, the Agarbathi industry. And the third one, little account on NR group per se. And the fourth one, few personal questions if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
So can we start with the first section? It's the general economy section of it. Mr. Arjun, it's almost 8 months since the complete lockdown came into being. And of course, we have had phases of unlock also. So just we would like to know what were your reflections during the complete lockdown phase? Because this is the first time probably in our generation we have come across such an unprecedented environment. So what were your reflections?
I think before I start talking about my reflections, I'd first like to thank your institute as well as you, Dr. Narayan, for giving me the opportunity to talk to the students and everybody else. The last 6-7 months have definitely been challenging for everybody, I'm sure. And a lot of learnings, a lot of positives to take away from that. Now, I think before we get into the lockdown, I just want to share what we did to prepare our organization for the lockdown first. I think planning became a key aspect of how we manage lockdown. So I just like to establish context first. So what happened was I was in South Africa around mid of February, and I was coming back around February 21st. That's when people were just talking about COVID and its implications. And there was no travel restrictions still imposed at that time. So I flew into Dubai from Johannesburg. And that's where I saw the situation of panic for the first time. As temperature screening was happening, people were trying to find masks, and there's social distancing people were talking about. That's when I realized that this pandemic is not something to be taken lightly. And Feb 24th, when I came into India, I had a team meeting with everybody in the company, and I said, this is something we need to prepare for well. So we put in a business continuity plan of how to work from home, moved all computers to people's homes because we didn't have so many laptops at our disposal. Set up internet connections, got all the teams licenses, did programs for that. Finance team started to work remotely, even pre-lockdown itself. HR team started to work pre-lockdown because we realized taking care of our employees was the top priority, right?
Great.
So when lockdown actually came in, the organization was completely prepared mentally. Okay.
Oh, great.
And that was a big advantage for us. And hence, when lockdown happened, we already had a business continuity plan in place of reviews, of methods of managing the situation. And I think as a leader, I took the responsibility of communicating to the team of the situation, actually keeping everybody calm. I over communicated in many cases, and I made sure leadership at all levels over communicate as well. Conducted town halls, did a lot of webinars for our employees, created training programs, because for 2 months everybody was at home. So that's how the lockdown started. And during the period of lockdown, a lot of learnings, a lot of different champions I were unveiled in the organization that I didn't even know existed. The virtual mode, kind of brought a level playing field for everybody.
That's right.
I had visibility of 5-6 levels down, who I would have never met in a normal scenario.
Okay.
So a lot of positives in that regard. But I think the true champions were actually our employees. Each and every one of them stood up, lifted their hand up and said, I will step up for the company as well as for the nation. So a lot of awesome stuff everybody did. We contributed to the primary fund. We gave mass hand sanitizers to the local, government authorities to support them. So we all stood hand in hand, worked together, and we're managing some currently.
Oh, kudos to your leadership. In the sense that you are completely geared up to face the challenges ahead.
I mean, we're mentally prepared. I think that was the first thing, right? I mean,
exactly.
If you know that there is something that's going to come that in which you'll have to stay locked down. So what we did is, as an organization, we looked at what South Korea did, what Italy did, and we realized that places are going to actually get quarantined and locked down, and it's going to be area to area and city to city as and when cases increase. And we looked at transportation routes, material movement opportunities, where we could relocate our inventories. All of this pre-COVID, pre-lockdown. So the supply chain team was also mentally prepared that there will be a lockdown and I will have to move material to customers from different locations. So planning, I think, was key, and preparedness, for an eventuality that you couldn't foresee. I can't hear you, Doctor.
Am I audible right now?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, maybe what were your priorities at that point of time? Probably during March when the lockdown was enforced.
See, the top priority was we were not going to have sales in the end of March. So March year end is a very big sales moment for the organization. So organizing cash flow to take care of our employees and our small vendors, because as an Agarbathi company, we have a lot of small vendors who are dependent on us on a day-to-day basis. So organizing for cash flow, organizing for liquidity without knowing, the end period was the first challenge, right? In many cases, I had to, compromise on opportunity for liquidity.
Yeah.
Okay. So the top priority became to to ensure that my employees stay safe and stay confident, stay emotionally, on a level playing field without getting stressed, and to give them the confidence that no matter what, your jobs are intact and you'll get your salary on time. Yeah. So that was the top priority, to be honest. Because if you don't take care of your people in a time of distress, then when can you actually, right? The true character of the organization actually comes out during crisis.
Exactly. I think this is the reason why you have come out with a nice video promising the salary and job security to all your employees by 28th March 2020, if I'm right.
Yes. I felt it my responsibility to put out a video, that's the best way to communicate. And it's probably the first video I made that is long format, monotonous one-way communication without a teleprompter.
Exactly.
So I think I spoke from the heart, and the employees got it. And I got a lot of messages from families, more than my employees, their wives and children, telling us that this is something that was unexpected and gives them a lot of relief.
I'm sure that would have given them a great morale booster to all your employees. That's the great one. Moving on to the recovery part, Mr. Arjun. Of course, mixed reports keep coming with reference to the recovery which is happening across the sectors, be it automobile or FMCG or consumer durables and so on and so forth. What kind of recovery do you foresee? Because people are talking about U pattern, V pattern, W pattern, and so on and so forth. What would be your take on this?
See, from a business standpoint, right, our product is a daily use product. It's almost a necessity. Agarbatti has a 80% penetration as a category. So almost 85% of households in India use Agarbatti on a day-to-day basis. So for us, there was no demand contraction. There was a supply shortage in the market.
Oh, great.
Because of the lockdown and because we are not an essential product, and rightly so, food and medicines are far more important than Agarbatti and prayer products at this point of time. And we supported the government hand in hand in that. Supply shortages were the biggest challenge, and access to market became a bigger challenge for us. It's slowly recovering because transportation routes had to be relooked at. Transportation trucks were not available, loaders, unloaders, the migrant labor had gone back. So those were the challenges that we had to actually face once unlock started. Not necessarily demand contraction, because almost every store in the country keeps Agarbatti of some format, right? Reaching them became the challenge. Not necessarily asking our consumers to come and buy, because consumers will pray every day. I mean, we are a very pious and religious nation, and at this point of time, hope and aspirations and praying for a better world is all that you have. And it is our solemn duty to ensure people have what they need, to pray with. Yeah. So that was the bigger challenge. And for our industry, I think supply chain, raw material availability, because of the nature of the industry being so supply chain, back-end integration intensive with so many rural women employed, lakhs of them, that will be the bigger challenge than the market side demand for our industry.
Okay. How do you look at the macro perspective in terms of economic recovery?
I think from an overall business standpoint, when I talk to business colleagues, there are different industries. Manufacturing is taken a big hit. White goods is slightly pushed out. Purchases have been pushed out. Consumer products, especially food, is doing exceedingly well. Travel industry, I mean, I don't even have to explain, the challenges they're undergoing. So the way I look at it is the change that has come in a macro perspective of the way of doing business, the way of communication, the consumer buying behavior changes. They are here to stay. It will have a long-term impact for sure. Similar to how, a small percentage of thought could be the way the country moved into digital currency after demonetization. It became a big jump. So that is something that we would also see from a macro perspective of the Indian economy as well. But it's a robust economy, huge demand in rural consumption will not change. Agriculture is going to come back strong because of good monsoons this year. The country is very dependent on that. And ITES and IT services that support the economy in more recent times will be good. And commodities per se will stay strong. So I think the nation will not take such a big hit as expected. If the pandemic pans out to eases out, if the pandemic extends and gets more severe, like what we're facing now in Delhi, that's a crisis it's an unprecedented crisis. So if that continues, then there will be economic slowdown at all levels, purely because access will become difficult.
Okay, that's right. With reference to recovery in MSME sector, because you do represent MSME sector, can you give us a hint on that?
Yeah, MSME, the government has done a lot of initiatives to support MSMEs. Okay. And slowly we are seeing more so with the MSMEs that I work with, because we have a huge vendor base of medium and small enterprises that we work with. They are all very positive in the nature of the opportunity that exists. Okay. With Atmanirbhar Bharat and other initiatives that the government is talking about. I think the first step is to give the sector confidence. Okay. And self-belief because of COVID. Now, everybody were shocked and scared during COVID. To put in courage and give them a self of confidence, I think the government is doing its best by announcing all of these initiatives of self-reliance and Atmanirbhar, and companies that can actually make a difference are making a difference in the MSME sector. So I think the recovery will be faster than expected, but it is still a long run. Government support as well as industry intervention is required, and companies that can actually handle MSMEs, they need to handle MSMEs. We are doing our bit in that.
So that's great. So do you happen to see some green shoots as far as MSME sector is concerned?
No, definitely. There are green shoots coming up everywhere. I think auto industry also supports a lot of MSMEs down the supply chain as well. And in FMCG, we are seeing the recovery in food where there are a lot of MSMEs connected as well. So in the industry and in the domain that I am present, I'm seeing green shoots coming back up. But in manufacturing, it's not a domain I'm very knowledgeable about. There, I think there is still a huge challenge in coming back because, in our avionics business, we are seeing that purchase orders are getting pushed out.
Okay.
In which case, our downward supply chain also gets that much more challenged. So I think in the manufacturing sector, there is going to be challenges going forward. But in FMCG and commodities and in the industries that we are in, as Agarbathi, we see MSMEs, coming back strongly.
Okay. Oh, that's nice to hear, Mr. Arjun. Mr. Arjun, you were talking about Agarbathi industry. You said there was no demand contraction even during the lockdown period. Probably people would have started praying more when they are in distress. That's right.
I mean, not necessarily praying more, but when families are together, you kind of tend to do traditional things and rituals a lot more. We saw that in our household as well, because wife, son, and me together, we did a lot of things more together as family. And worship is one act that you do together as family as well. That's part of your traditions.
Okay. Have you started reaching the pre-COVID sales scenario as far as the Agarbathi industry is concerned?
No, I think the loss of sales of March, April, and May is still yet to recover.
Oh, right.
But I think we are on the right track.
Okay. Probably if you put it in terms of percentage of pre-COVID scenario.
There is no percentage per se to compare. What I can look at is, are we selling at the same level that we did last year in October, November? Yes, we are almost at that same level now. I can't hear you, doctor. You keep getting disconnected.
Oh, is it so? Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now. Yes.
Because of whatever changes we have been experiencing in the last 6 to 7 months, do you expect a new geopolitical order post-COVID, Mr. Arjun?
Geopolitical order is a very big word. So
very, very broad terminology.
But I think international relations. I mean, it's more about international relations and where you stand as a nation, right?
Yes.
See, the whole nation is in a growth phase. Okay, so every country would want to partner with India because of the demand, that's happening in our nation, right? Going forward. And the way we have handled the situation with China, I think is commendable. The government has shown strength, has shown its ability to stand by what it commits for. So I think this, combined with the view that China has with the rest of the world, and with the view that our nation is taking with Atmanirbhar Bharat to be self-reliant and think about what we can do as a nation together, collectively build our supply chain and value chain. I think these things in the long term will help us produce products that are global. Okay. See, when we say Atmanirbhar, it does not mean just, produce in India and sell in India. It means make products that are world class, that you can sell anywhere in the world and that can beat competition. Okay. And I think that's the mindset with which, companies that understand this opportunity that the government has put forth is looking at. And we believe in the long term, this will strengthen India's geopolitical situation. It will make us a stronger nation, will give us a lot more repute internationally as well. And the way we've handled COVID as well, I think is commendable with the resources that we had.
Okay. So are you quite optimistic that India can become an integral part of the global supply chain system?
It definitely can because of the opportunity that exists. There is manufacturing, there's ITES, and there is everything else in between, right?
Yes.
I think with renewable energy opportunities that are coming out, with the new startups that I see in India that are getting incubated, there is so much capability in the youth of the nation today. In all aspects, and with the changing face of technology, I think India can be in the forefront of technology changes that are happening as well. It's just not about supply of product; it's also supply of services and of technology. So I see that in the next 10 years, there will be a lot more technology-driven products coming out of the country as well, spurring innovation and growth.
Okay. Again, touching on this particular issue.
Consumer buying behavior.
No, let me skip that. Let me come back to that. Okay, because since this is more or less related to what we have been discussing so far. According to Project Development Cell of Government of India, around 19 out of 39 companies which want to move out of China and establish their businesses elsewhere in the world, they are likely to invest in India to the tune of around 10 to 12 billion dollars. There's an element of doubt here because again, if you take a COVID vaccine, Pfizer is the first one to come out with the COVID vaccine, but unfortunately, it requires ultra cold storage facility at
minus 80 degrees centigrade.
70 to minus 70 to 80 degrees centigrade. If that be the case, now we are lacking on that front. We are not in a position to avoid COVID vaccine from Pfizer. So that talks about our infrastructure. If that be the case, do you think we'll be able to attract a greater FDI having this kind of infrastructure at our end, Mr. Arjun?
Yeah,
I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, but I'm trying to understand the facts behind.
See, every nation wants to grow. Nations whose GDP is growing at 1 or 2%, look at nations like India, China, Brazil, some Southeast Asian countries to invest into. Okay. So in a geopolitical scenario, you need to look at which countries give the best return for a foreign direct investment. Okay. From a very, very macro perspective. In that, no matter in which way you look at our nation, we will be in the top 3 at any point of time. Okay. It is in speed of doing business, ability to build infrastructure that needs attention for our nation. Okay. Not the opportunity that exists for foreign direct investment. Okay. So I don't think that's the gating factor. And I think comparing cold storage infrastructure, which this nation has never needed for storing minus 80 degree vaccine, is a measure of FDI, to be honest. Okay. If you see Moderna requires minus 20 and our nation already has infrastructure for carrying vaccines that are at minus 20.
Okay.
So I think FDI investment is more a factor of ease of doing business.
Okay.
Reducing red tapeism in the nation, which I think all governments have realized and are doing, both state and central. So it's just not a central government issue. I think it's a state government. And more than a state government, it's also the district collector where the industry wants to be located. If it's a manufacturing industry, where labor management is better. So I think the direction that we are taking as a state and as a nation, where we're trying to bring a unified labor law across the country, put in some basic structures in place. I think it is in the right direction to encourage FDI in the long term. In the short term, I think it will be more a reactionary investment that because everybody will want to protect their investment.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, on a positive note, the World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking. Of course, we are placed at 63rd position, and there's a great improvement on that too. That's great. Okay, Mr. Arjun, we are moving on to the next section with reference to your own industry. But before that, recently, if you look at the consumer buying behavior, it has been going through a drastic change. Be it in terms of preference for essential goods rather than discretionary goods or OTT consumption or whatsoever. Now, even people have started buying online. So we are witnessing a drastic change in the consumption pattern too. Okay, is it going to be sustained even after COVID? This change in consumer behavior?
Yeah. So my belief is, again, I keep going back to examples that I have had in my life. Okay.
Yeah.
Simple examples. The first change that we saw when I was already, in business was the onset of modern trade outlets.
Okay.
There was a big debate between whether people will still continue shopping in the Kirana store or go to modern trade outlets. And we now see the shift happening. And there were a lot of pessimists who said, no, people will still want to go to Kirana store. Nobody's going to go to modern trade. And we see the shift happening, and it's a gradual shift, but the shift is definitely happening. And then we had demonetization, in which consumer buying behavior changed. And it changed in such a way, if you look at the key differentiator, was the purchase pattern changed. Okay. When we used to buy a monthly huge cash investment of groceries and get it home, you kind of broke it down into smaller, requirement-based purchases because of cash limitation. And that change remained. In today, now we used to buy 8 bars of soap. During demonetization, we bought 4 bars of soap and we bought it 2 times a month. Even today, that's the same. So that purchase pattern behavior has changed for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the next big change that I'm looking at is what happened during COVID. Okay, in the way consumers behave in retail. Now, my entire exposure is to FMCG and consumers' buying behaviors, okay, and consumption.
Yeah.
So, if you look at a typical consumer, the average time he would spend in a retail outlet in planning his purchase used to be 30 to 40 minutes earlier. It's down to 8 minutes now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Even if you look at your purchasing experience before, if I go into a store, I would spend at least half an hour, 45 minutes looking at all the new products, other categories are asked. Whether I wanted it or not, I would end up buying more things that I needed.
That's
I would
right.
pick up products. My wife would send me a list and then I would bring everything else except what's on the list.
Okay.
Right? So there used to be some level of involved purchase behavior. Today, the list is prepared. Go to the store. I'm in and out of the store within 5 minutes. And if the product I want is not available, the brand I want is not available, I don't purchase it all. I order it online.
Okay.
That's a change that I think will sustain in the long term, where people will shift from unbranded to branded. Trust will become important. Value for money will become even more important because you will want to eliminate all risk at the time of chaos. Okay. And purchasing is one big aspect in your life where you want to eliminate all risk and you want to be reassured with something that you can depend on. And with dependability comes trust, and trust comes brand, and brand comes organized players. And that's why you see all the FMCG guys are now picking up in their sales. The unbranded that immediately shot up, during COVID because of supply advantages of being close to market is now slowly diminishing.
Yes.
Okay. So I think this buying behavior is here to stay in the long term, and people will start going online for more exclusive products to purchase. They will continue to consume locally what is available nearby and go online for exotics or things that are not available locally near the store. So if you look at our website as well, what we sell the highest on our website is not what is our fastest moving product offline. Cycle 3-in-1 is not my fastest selling, but it's available everywhere. My bespoke, innovative new products are the ones that sell the most online in our store as well.
Okay. I'm just reminded of a phenomenon called impulse purchase. I mean, because you say the time which we do spend at the retail outlets, it has come down drastically to 8 minutes. If that be the case, probably impulse purchase will never happen physically, but probably it may happen online.
Online, yeah.
Okay.
So online advertising, digital consumption will increase. You start browsing a lot more. And, the idea of promoters, in a store was a very big aspect in the last 3-4 years, where you can actually pitch a product to a consumer. So you will see the innovation pipeline also coming down in the retail front, because you don't have an opportunity to actually sell to a consumer. You'll have to depend on ATL, and then you'll have to depend on online digital marketing.
Okay. Right. That's great. Mr. Arjun, coming to your industry, let us spend a few minutes on that. Okay, of course, the bamboo is the major raw material for your production and other things. I mean, one thing which we have understood is we are the second largest producer of bamboo, but at the same time, we are the second largest importer of bamboo and its products. You know why there is an anomaly like this?
Okay. It's a very important point. It's a very easy answer as well. Not everything that you produce, you need to consume. More so if it's a natural resource. A simple example is the United States. They have the highest oil in the world, but they are also the highest importer of oil because they don't want to get into fracking and excavation, right? Similarly, in India, bamboo is a natural resource. And in India, it is not a cultivated grass. It is actually wild harvested. It grows in the forests. So tribals have to go into the forest, harvest it, and then come and sell it. So we have the highest, among the highest growth of bamboo in the forest areas. It is not a cultivated species. Right? We've never cultivated for generations. The government of India now with the National Bamboo Mission is trying to encourage farmers to get into bamboo cultivation. So we are at least 5 to 10 years away where we'll actually have cultivated bamboo to harvest that we can then start using to make products. So right now it's completely wild harvested. Until just 2 years ago, it was completely regulated by the local state-wise forest departments as well. You need to take a permit to harvest the bamboo. You need to take a storage license. You need to get a transportation permit to move bamboo. So it was not a crop because it was classified as a tree in many states, even though it's a grass. So So in India, it is only now that the bamboo is now looked at as green gold.
Okay.
Need to first identify entrepreneurs who can get into the bamboo business first.
Okay.
Which is lacking in India. So we need to put up bamboo incubation programs where people would then come in and look at opportunities of using bamboo that is grown in India that can be, that can be looked at as a plantation crop, create a viable business model where they can actually make money. In the East, if you look at, Laos, Vietnam, all of these bamboo nations, they've been cultivating bamboo for generations, mainly because their main use for bamboo is the chopsticks that they used to eat.
Oh, yes,
Okay?
yes.
And owing to which it is a cultivated crop for generations in those nations.
Okay. Right.
So hence it is easy for them to manufacture, and it is not wild harvested from the forest. So it's not dependent on tribal people and labor.
Right.
So that's why there's a huge gap, and the nation has understood that now.
Okay.
Because if you look at it from a very high level, you won't get it. So I'm glad you asked the question, and that's why once it becomes a plantation crop in India, you will then start seeing a huge amount of, like coffee, for example, right? I mean, in India, it is a plantation crop, even though it can be wild harvested as well.
Okay. It is not being practiced as a plantation crop. Is it because it has got largest gestation period?
No, it's just that there is no market opportunity, right? You need entrepreneurs to come and see. There are farmers who will farm the bamboo, right? And then you need businessmen who will come and say, okay, I'll set up business and I will buy your bamboo from you and I will use it for this purpose, right? And in the supply chain of bamboo, if you see, it first goes into paper pulp, where they use the bamboo pole as it is. It would then be into furniture, fixtures, skewers, things like that, flooring tiles, roofing tiles. Bamboo used for Agarbatti is completely low down the supply chain because it's highly labor intensive, consumes a lot, the yield is the lowest. So in other countries, bamboo, for instance, comes way down the value chain after everything else is produced. So in India, the ecosystem has to be set up along with an industry like Agarbatti, which will buy in bulk but cannot give value. Other industries need to come up. So there are innovative companies that have now been incubated and that have come up that are looking at bamboo seriously, of making different products out of bamboo.
Okay. Coming to exports part, Mr. Arjun, it is great to note that NR Group has been exporting to around 75 countries. But if you look at the exports figure or revenue part, it has been stagnating at around $100 million per year. May I know the $100 million per year
of which
Agarbathi's exports.
Okay.
Is it the correct figure? This is what I got it from the secondary sources.
Yeah, it is more or less correct, but it is growing, year on year. The All India Agarbatti Manufacturers Association is working with the Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, which is the apex body that is involved in promoting Indian handicrafts, working with them hand in hand to develop the Agarbatti industry globally. So I wouldn't say it's stagnating. What has happened is Indian Agarbattis have a global presence, almost available in 145 countries. It is among the most exported products out of India. No product of India will be available in 145 to 150 countries. Okay, Agarbatti is available in 150 countries. Has no competition from either a China or a Vietnam or a Thailand for the way Indian Agarbattis are produced, with the quality of fragrance and the quality of finish. Okay. So the challenge remains local acceptance. And Indian Agarbattis outside of India is not consumed by Indians; it's consumed by the locals.
Oh, okay.
And if any brand or any product has to sell, it has to be dependent on the indigenous population and not on expats. So there is a long road ahead. If you look at South America, which is a new emerging market, and if you look at US, for example, it has now become a mainline product. Incense sticks is part of meditation and well-being. Okay. With the advent of yoga and Ayurveda, Agarbatti has transcended religion and has become a spiritual product everywhere. The moment you light an Agarbatti, the entire Eastern ambience is created with the yin yang and peace of mind and de-stress and all of that.
That's right.
So the industry is only bound to grow in the future. Earlier it was heavily dependent on Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. The new emerging markets of South America, Japan, United States, and North America are now fueling growth in the future. So I think it's at a pivotal point where the industry is going to leapfrog with the support of the government and with associations like EPCH and FIO, supporting the industry. And it will become a fragrant ambassador for sure. So I'm not too concerned about the stagnating exports because the volume has increased. If you go and look, the volume has increased with the dollar appreciation. The volume of business has also increased. Yeah.
Mr. Arjun, this particular industry is characterized by large presence of unorganized players. Again, I'm given to understand you got more than 5,000 instance players in the market. But around 25 major players, they are holding a share of around 30%. The rest is being held by completely unorganized players in the market. And of course, there are no much entry barriers to. If that be the case, what is the future hold for this particular industry?
So the products actually sell predominantly on availability and on fragrance. Okay. And of course, it has to burn properly. The physical characteristics of the incense stick is very, very important. Because the entry barriers are less, there is no single company that is a leader in every state in the country. When we are a national player, there are a couple of other national players as well. But if you look at a state, say for Rajasthan, the number one and number two players in Rajasthan are not there even in the neighboring state. They're only in Rajasthan. And in Rajasthan, only in one area. If you go to a state like UP, the leader in Eastern UP is not even available in Western UP. All right, even though he's so strong. And it's the same case in MP. So if you go to Tamil Nadu, South Tamil Nadu is different, North is different. Karnataka, North Karnataka, the competition is different, the players are different, South Karnataka is different. Because it's highly fragmented and localized as an industry, the challenges is in growth of economies of scale. And when you leapfrog on distribution, so you cannot grow beyond a certain size if you remain local. And that's been the key aspect of our success and how we've been able to become a national brand is we set up processes and business processes with ERP and getting information online. Each and every sales guy in the company, we have almost 2,000 sales guys, have a mobile app on which they can track daily sales and they're in touch real time. So things like this and financial discipline, of course, has helped us scale and become where we are with localized manufacturing, but centralized management and localized distribution. So the way you build entry barriers is through distribution, brand, and fragrance differentiation in this category.
Right. What is the scope for innovation in this industry? Of course,
there is tremendous scope for innovation in fragrance. If you look at the traditional fragrances today, we have fragrances in the market that are reminiscent of apple. So we have a fragrance called Lea Apple. If you light that Agarbathi, you will feel like you walked into an apple orchard in Himachal Pradesh. So there is a lot of innovation in fragrance creation. So that helps you elevate, take you away from your presence. See, when you pray and when you meditate, you want to escape from where you are, right? And you want to go to you want to create an ambience that is ideal for prayer. And the first level of innovation comes with ingredients and with the fragrances that we create. The next innovation that is happening now is in the form factor as well. There is some level of traditionalism that's coming back. So we create this product called Samrani. If you remember in childhood, I remember at home, the process of using Samrani was very labor intensive. You would actually heat up charcoal and then you would heat up and then you'd get the Samrani briquettes and then sprinkle it on top of it. It would be a 2-hour process. What we have done is we have created an instant cup which has the encapsulation of the Samrani inside it. Exactly. That is very easy to use. So the form factor, there's innovation in form factor, innovation in fragrance. Innovation in packaging is not anything great. I think that will continue to happen across FMCG. So even though the stick seems so simple, there's a lot of innovation happening even in the type of strength of fragrance, the way you can customize fragrances, a lot of other offerings as an opportunity.
That's right. Mr. Arjun, we are moving on to the third section with reference to your own company called Ranga Rao Sons Private Limited. Started in 1948 in a very, very humble way as a cottage industry. You come a long way.
I'm sorry, your voice is cut. I can't hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible now.
So you have come a long way, and of course, you are having your presence in almost 75 countries in the world. Can you take us through your success journey for the next couple of minutes, if you don't mind?
Sure. I wouldn't know if it's a success journey or not, but it's definitely a very fulfilling journey.
Yes. So yes.
Because each one defines success in their own way. So for us, I think the true entrepreneur, the man that the bravest and the most courageous person was my grandfather. Comes from a small village called Vatraipu in Madurai district. Okay, if you go look at our ancestors, it's either a teacher or a pujari. His father and his grandfather before him. He lost his father in 1918, when he was just an 8-year-old boy during the Great Plague, which is similar to what situation we have. India faced that in 1918 and 1920. So he lost his father then. So very early in his life, he had to take care of his mother and grandmother and had to be responsible for the family. Throughout his young age, it was a struggle in school. He had to go to the wholesale market, buy sweets, sell it to the shopkeeper outside, so to make money for his tuitions. He used to repair timepieces when he grew up a little more. He realized multi-skilling is very important. Those days typing and shorthand were essential, so he couldn't afford it. He went to the typing institute, got the typing institute 6 students, and he got his training free from the institute. Gave them a scheme, get 6, get 1 free. So he was innovative throughout, and got his first job in Arvangad in the cordite factory in Nilgiris. It was a small village called Vatraipu. He said, no, we're moving. Took his entire family, mother, grandmother. He said, where opportunity is, I need to be. So first job he got, he moved the entire family, brave to do that, left the ancestral home, went to Arvangad, got his job there, worked really hard, got promoted, got another opportunity in Coorg in Consolidated Coffee Works as a bookkeeper, moved there in 1945, took a bigger job, working there. Already 4 children by now. My father was born in Polybetta. Our chairman was born in Arvangad. 4 children. 1948, India got independence. 1947, he said, this is the time I have to start something on my own. Had about 100 rupees of savings by then. Came to Mysore, started the business in a house that was rented at 5 rupees per month, and said, I have enough for 1 year and I need to make it in this 1 year. There's no going back. Quit his job, quit everything, and took a leap of faith, started by small distributing products of shikakai, tooth powder and Agarbathi, because that was famous in Mysore at that time. Years time, because he was a spiritual man, he fell in love with Agarbathis. He also felt he could differentiate in fragrance creation and started Agarbathis in 1949. 1950, he came up with the word cycle because he felt he needs a brand that everybody in the nation would understand immaterial of their language. Built on that, solid fundamentals, encouraged the children to get educated. Got our chairman, Mr. Guru, joined the business in, I think, 1956. After his 10th, he wanted to study more, but he wanted to work for the family, and he came and built the business with the grandfather. The second generation actually laid the foundation for the business. Apart from family business values that they took forward from my grandfather of financial discipline, integrity, taking care of employees, they built business processes as well. They said we have to be a family-run business with professional management, bought in outside professionals, started to create a solid foundation of distribution and marketing and finance and production, started an outsourcing model in 1960 with rural women making agarbathis for us that helped us scale. And by 1968, by 1970, with the product innovation and fragrance creation of in-house ability, we became the leaders in the market, within 20 years of my grandfather establishing. My grandfather passed away in 1980, but the legacy continued with the second generation, my father and uncles. They built the business even further, bought in software and technologies. We were the first ones to buy this Wipro DX2 computer for our sales management. Built an alternate FMCG model of distribution with a depot and a sales force that was run by an IM, and built a network of sales channel independently. So innovation was constant, movement was constant, financial discipline, business process is something that helped build the foundation. And when I came in 2000, I was lucky to have this solid foundation to build on, the backing of the second generation, and the best of it all were the employees of the organization that continued to be the pillar. With the paternalistic approach of the family and professional ability of the champions in the organization, we started to scale, got in ERP systems to scale further. I think 2007 is when I got in Microsoft Navision, and then got in SAP in 2014, Salesforce automation now. And we've become a multi-product company from an Agarbathi company, got into spiritual products with everything in the puja room, from kumkum, turmeric, oil to candles. And then we have on the fragrance side, room fresheners, car fresheners, scented candles, potpourri, diffusers, And so we have an entire gamut of fragrance and prayer that we offer to our consumers, and that's where we are today.
Very, very inspiring. Okay, thank you very much. Basically, if you look at Agarbatti per se as a product category, I mean, it's a low involvement to product category like Agarbattis and Agarbatti. If that be the case, probably your grandparents as well as your parents, they would have struggled a lot in terms of taking this product category from low involvement to high involvement category. You have been fairly successful on those efforts too. Can you please take us through the experience?
I lost you. I didn't hear you, doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I audible right now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Something wrong with my audio system, I believe. Okay, Agarbatti is more or less a kind of a commodity, Mr. Arjun. Okay, and it's a low involvement category, but your parents, your grandparents, as well as yourself, you have been fairly successful in terms of taking this category from low involvement to high involvement. Can you take us through that particular journey? What kind of problems do you face while trying to move that category to high involvement category?
So to be honest, we believe that this is the highest level of involvement as a category because you're praying to God with the product.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though you're paying just 50 paisa for the Agarbatti,
okay,
buy a new car, you don't start the car before you do the aarti with the 2 Agarbatti sticks. When you're starting the biggest company, when you're launching your aircraft, you won't start without breaking a coconut and those 2 Agarbatti sticks.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, if your Agarbatti stops burning, okay, nothing can be worse than that, right?
Exactly.
So that is the need that we're fulfilling. It's the hopes and dreams of a nation since 1958, and the ambience that you need to create when they're praying. The moment we realize that as a company and our employees realize that, the entire way we look at the brand changed. Okay, from 2000 when I joined, if you see, the brand awareness level in the country was at 4%. Today is at 42%.
Oh,
if you research in India and ask people, name the top 3 Agarbatti brands, 40% of the country will say Cycle.
Excellent.
It's an amazing achievement. It's come with constant quality, innovation, and communication to consumers.
Okay.
So it is not that it is a low involvement category. It's a very, very high involvement category, but a very less brand aware category.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because the household, the mother is involved in the purchase of the puja samagri for the house. Or the decision maker, without those 2 Agarbattis, your day doesn't begin,
Exactly.
So it is a high involvement category, but very low brand awareness. Because of the high level of fragmentation that the industry exists due to the trade push that is there. So as the industry starts transcending from an unbranded to a branded, you'll start seeing higher brand awareness becoming order of the day.
That's a great consumer insight to us. Mr. Arjun, may I know what is your breakthrough innovation at NRRs? Of course, you were also talking about the fragrance creation on your own. If I'm right, you are having your own R&D setup also to come out with the new fragrances. What is your breakthrough innovation?
No, I think for us, the biggest breakthrough innovation was in 1952 when my grandfather launched our product called Sugandha Mallika. Those days, in a tin packaging, you used to get 60 sticks for 1 rupee.
Okay.
And when my grandfather worked it out, he realized that the packaging cost was far higher than the actual product cost.
Then the product, okay.
And he said, we should not spend money on packaging. We should invest rather on the product.
Okay.
And the fragrance and the quality. So, and he came up with Cycle Sugandha Mallika, 1 rupee, 20 sticks in a cardboard box. Industry had never seen that. It was clutter breaking, and it overnight became a success because people actually then saw what fragrance meant. So even today, if you go back and look, we are the only ones who have packets that are ideal for the size of sticks that are inside. All our competition will make the packs 4 times bigger and put less number of sticks inside, things like that. So fragrance innovation and packaging management has been a key for us. The way we optimize shelf space for retail, the way we move the products through our supply chain. Each and every aspect is an innovation for us in the way we distribute our products.
Okay. Mr. Arjun, definitely the fragrance innovation or fragrance creation is the greatest innovation at your end. With reference to packaging, if you don't mind, can't it be replicated by the competitors?
What would happen is
No.
most of the competition depends on trade push, then consumer
Okay.
pull. So you either
Okay.
build a brand
Okay.
that's dependent on trade push or you create consumer pull. So what would happen is if you keep my pack and the competitor's pack next to each other, the number of sticks inside are the same. My competitor's pack will look double the size.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So consumers will think they're getting more and hence take that product.
Okay. Okay. Right.
But
Uh-huh.
it's very less efficient, very inefficient from a sustainability standpoint. There's a huge amount of wastage in transportation. Retailer shelf space reduces by half because the pack is double the size, but he earns the same on both, right? So that's why competitors are unable to replicate. If they make their pack size the same as mine, they will not stand in competition at all.
Right.
The consumer will end up pick my product. So
Okay.
that being the case, that's not a great innovation per se, but I think innovation has come for us through building business process, so as to speak.
Yes.
It
Okay.
started with us setting up Microsoft Navision, which is an ERP that gave end-to-end visibility right from our supply to all the way till it reached the market.
Okay.
And the next level of innovation is when we moved into SAP. And today, I think the real-time mobile apps that we've developed with where we have communication with our retail on a day-to-day basis through our sales team is a clutter breaking innovation in a less technology intensive industry like Agarbathi.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I think technology interventions for us is what is defining the way we perform. We have a transport management system that we have now implemented to handle transport of the secondary level, where materials reach the distributor on a real-time basis. We're able to track materials. So I think supply chain innovation is something that we pride ourselves in such an unbranded, unorganized segment where we have end-to-end visibility from the person who made the Agarbatti sitting at home till the time it reaches the outlet. We have visibility because of technology.
Okay.
So innovations need not just translate into something as a wow moment for the consumer, but the way you add value to the consumer also matters through the supply chain.
Okay.
Another key aspect for us is the fact that we are a carbon neutral manufacturer, right? So when a mother actually buys a packet of Cycle Agarbathies, she will know that there has been zero impact on Mother Earth by production of this product. And sustainability is a key aspect for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we have innovated a lot in ensuring that we remain sustainable by looking at FSC certified pulp for our packaging, 100% recyclable plastic material, for our inner pouches, so on and so forth.
Moving on to your gamut of businesses, I can call it. You were into Agarbathi, you have been into Agarbathi, and moved to personal care, home care, and right now you have been concentrating on different solutions too under your leadership. You know the rationale behind such a diversification?
Yeah, so diversification just did not start from our generation, okay? If you go back and look at our previous generation, 1979 was the first big diversification where we started NESO, Natural Essential Oils Limited, where we went completely out of our comfort zone and created fragrance extracts that go into fine fragrances in the West. So those days, the Christian Dior Poison perfume was created from the tube rose that we supplied right here from Mysore. Even today, the Gundumali production from Coimbatore and Madurai are the ones that go into most of the fine fragrances in the West that we buy, with like J'adore and a lot of these Yves Saint Laurent. They all depend on fragrance ingredients that we supply right here. So the diversification started. We started a food products company. We started a pharma company. All of this in the previous generation as well. The thought was simple. You can look at people who are competent in certain domains. But the business ethos and the way of running businesses is where the entrepreneur should focus on. Okay. So what we did is, if you look at our diversification during the third generation when we came in, we said fragrance is a strong strength for us. So let us look at non-Agarbatti air fragrance products and got into room fresheners, car fresheners, scented candles, potpourri, all of that under the Iris brand name. We also said Puja Samagri is something that we are good at and strong because we are already in the Puja room and we got into all the related Puja Samagri under Om Shanti. But apart from that, we are 5 of us in the family. Each of us qualified either an engineer or a solid undergrad with an MBA from the US, outside work experience. So each of us manage one business vertical, within the family. So Pawan actually drives the defense and the avionics business. He had a company called Ranga Sons Electronics that he turned around, did amazing. When we started the business, in 2000, 2001, with less than a 40, 50 lakh company. And in 2014, he sold that company, it was a multi-crore deal, and then to Cyient Technologies, and then set up a product development company where we do avionics hoses and pipes, that go into jet engines, working with the Indian DoD, working on defense projects. So got into product level engineering. The idea is that the way you manage a business, your fundamental values and principles, if they're in fact intact, when you see an opportunity, it becomes easy to diversify.
Excellent.
So it need not be in a related, business alone, as long as you know how to run businesses.
Okay.
And so now, if you look at it, we have a new business called Vayoda Solar, where we are now getting into solar pumps for farmers.
Oh, okay.
In long term. We also have a company called Greylinks, where we're doing IoT devices for managing energy systems.
Okay.
And managing devices across, a plant, for example, of energy monitoring. And so we're looking at multiple opportunities that exist. And in Nesso, from floral extracts, we have now got into herbal extracts, where we're doing Indian herb extracts, green coffee, green tea, and a lot of other exotic herbs, and then exporting it to the West that go into nutrition supplements and nutraceuticals and so on and so forth. So I think, business capability to manage a business, build team, build people, hire good, competent people to help you in R&D and development is a key factor that I think we have managed to nurture in the family over the years. And that's why we can look at opportunities to diversify.
That's great. It means you're doing enough due diligence before getting into any new business. That's great. My incense, a recent launch from NR Stable, launched by Mr. Ramesh, the matinee idol. Okay. This is the one which is completely customized. Customization, normally it happens in different sectors altogether. But in Agarbathis, I think this is the first time we have come across such a kind of a new innovative concept. Can you throw more light on this for the benefit of the?
Yeah, I believe that the future of FMCG is customization. Okay. Each and every individual will want something that is his. And that's how brands are also built. So I had this idea from 15 years till I found the right team and the right people, got a solid guy for my e-commerce to manage it. And he understood the vision, and our supply chain and production team understood the opportunity as well. So if you go into my instance, you can literally create each and everything that you want, right from the type of bamboo stick to the fragrances that you want, to the paste on the stick, and it can be yours. It is your unique fragrance creation. Okay.
Even the occasion for that matter.
Even the occasion, the packaging is yours.
Yes.
You can customize your packaging as well. And so what we've realized is people are really enjoying doing this. And it is yours. It is unique to you, right? It is, Dr. Narayan's creation. It is your product that we help you create. So it is very fulfilling for our connoisseurs of Agarbathi who are trying different combinations. Many combinations that they have tried, I find it mind-blowing. Okay, it's just fascinating.
Okay.
So I think it's there for the future. It's a very small part of the business right now, but I think it's in the right direction, because maybe in the long term, customization will become the key for any product or any brand. If you look at what Nike is doing now, you can completely customize your shoe to the way you want. Okay, from the insole to the color. If you look at what Cadbury's is trying to do now with customized packaging, but not with the product. In ours, you can customize the packaging and the product. So that's at the next level. So we are the first customized incense brand in the world.
So when did you launch it, Mr. Arjun, and how has been the response?
It's been 2 years now. The response is fantastic. Whoever actually, because it comes at a cost. When you want to make something for yourself, it's not as inexpensive as buying a pre-created product, right? So it is expensive, but the responses are phenomenal. The offtake is very good. I think we're still a long way to go, but it's very positive.
That's great. We wish you all the best on that front. Mr. Arjun, you have already touched upon your love towards Mother Earth. Of course, we also come across a lot of programs to conserve the environment. But one thing which is worth mentioning, and of course, it sounds quite interesting also. We heard your group collects all the flowers from the temples in Mysuru, and you are using them for manufacturing agarbattis.
Yes.
We would like to know more about that.
So, I mean, we started doing this about 3 years ago, before it became popular. Now everybody is doing it. We didn't talk about
Okay.
Chamandi temple in Mysore. We collect the flowers, dry it, clean it, dry
Okay.
it, powder it, and because it's prasad from God. Okay, it's something that's offered to God. That from the devotees, and we felt if we can actually make it part of everybody's prayer every day, it's something that's very unique. So we created a process to incorporate the fragrance powder with the flower powder with the incense sticks, and make the incense sticks perform the same way.
Okay.
That was the intention in which we created it. It was more from a spiritual and a pious standpoint. Of course, there was an environmental benefit as well of the flowers not going to waste, but that was the intent of purity and of prayer.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Moving on to your brand, which has been in existence, of course, for the last 70 years and so on. Almost it has become generic, like Dalda. Okay, we can quote so many examples on that. Have you ever felt this has become a handicap in terms of taking this brand to other product categories? Brand extension.
No, I don't think it's ever been a disadvantage at all, purely because of what the brand stands for. Okay, see, when grandfather created it in 1950, he said, "I want to create something that if you tell the name, everybody will understand in the country, no matter what their language. Also, if they see the symbol or the image, they should immediately know what that image means." It was a very, very simple thought, but a very profound thought. And over the years, a lot of philosophical values have added to what the brand stands for. Okay, when people pray, it personifies hope. It's just like how a cycle is powered by your will. Okay, you don't need a driver. You can go as far as you want. It's eco-friendly. All right, and for a child, a cycle is very aspirational. It signifies freedom, just like how prayer and God are for you. And there's another great unifying factor about a cycle, as a symbol, is that it is same for everybody, no matter how rich or how poor you are. A cycle is a cycle for you, just like how God is and prayer is.
Yeah.
And Cycle Agarbathi is for everybody. And that's the ideology with which the brand was created, and it personified hope, and not just Agarbathi. So today, when we are extending Cycle to our puja samagri, we are seeing tremendous traction. Trust and loyalty, our kumkum, our turmeric, our puja oil, our camphor, all of them. These are new things that we started just 2-3 years ago, but we're seeing the advantages of related industries, of going into the brand. Now, will the brand work if I go ahead and suddenly launch a completely unrelated product? It may or may not work. It's anybody's right? In related categories, I just don't think it's a handicap at all, either in fragrance or prayer. It's actually a benefit.
That's right.
The challenge for me is not about the logo. The challenge for me is about the company's values from before. So what my father used to say is, a product that you put in the market should earn the right to have the Cycle logo on it till it proves itself. So quite a few of the products that we launched, quite a few. I think somebody has to mute this, Rupa. Panelist. Quite a few of the products that we launch in the market will not carry the Cycle logo till it proves itself. Okay.
Excellent. Yeah. So that is the philosophy you do have when you are taking this brand to other related product categories.
It will be in the back panel next to the manufacturer's logo, and then it'll move on to the front panel once it becomes an established product. And that won't hinder the reputation of the brand.
Mr. Arjun, can you tell us something about your association with cricket? If I'm right, you are the sponsor for Asia Cup sometime in 2000.
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting journey for us. So 2002-3 is when we came up with a tagline called "Everyone has a reason to pray." Okay, because we believed that Agarbathi is a product that's used for prayer, and then we need to be the reason to partner with our consumers for prayer. And we were looking at opportunities where the nation prays together, because we wanted to be a unifying brand. And for us, it became very simple. The nation prays together for monsoons and for cricket. And it so happened in 2005 or 4, I don't recall the exact time, 10 Sports had a India-Pakistan series in India after many, many years.
Okay.
And the series was supposed to kick off tomorrow. And I get a call the previous day that one of the main sponsors has backed out.
Okay.
And no big corporate can agree overnight. They need approval from many people, But a family business like yours, it's a single man who can take a decision. So we'll give it to you at a discount. You want to be part of cricket.
Okay.
Till then, I had not thought of cricket as an opportunity. But then we said, yes, we will do it. And we took over the Super 4s and Super 6s and something else as a property. And it just took off. We got national visibility.
Oh.
And the series was a great success. I think Virendra Sehwag did a miracle on the ground as well. So
Okay.
the series took off and we saw the power of being present on cricket.
Okay.
And then after that, we started to partner with India Cricket wherever we could throughout our journey. And one lesson for us is that in cricket, you can't go into one series and come out. It's an expensive proposition and you have to sustain for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we did that and we continue to do that. And that's why we have Mr. Ganguly as well, because he was the captain when I was watching cricket.
Okay. That's right.
My captain, so as to speak.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's move on to a few personal questions from our side, Mr. Arjun. Okay. Your leadership style, which you have found it quite successful.
I think I can be a far better leader than I am. I'm more of a problem solver. I need to learn a lot from my father, who was a true leader in the essence. My father, whenever somebody would come up with a problem, would never give them the solution. He will explain everything to them and make them come up with a solution. But I, as a leader, I'm in a bit of a hurry. So I start with the solution and then work back on how to achieve it. So I'm the kind of leader that, there's a saying, right? I get things done and then tell people what to do.
Okay.
So I take a decision and then
right.
So that's the kind of leadership still I think I have. But I trust my people a lot. I delegate quite a bit, and I want them to come back to me for support at any point of time. I keep telling them that, and I like to build a training organization and continue to learn constantly. I believe in learning perpetually. And that's my leadership is in us learning and growing as we go. I want to take society and community with us when we go forward as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Of course, employee motivation, it's a very big challenge when the COVID was on, when the COVID was at its peak. How did you manage the entire thing?
I think
it's been quite challenging.
I think the biggest challenge is, you kind of fail as a leader if anybody in your team feels helpless. Okay, that's the worst feeling for any human to feel like there is nobody for him, okay, or him or her. And I think in lockdown, that was one of the biggest challenges that took upon that each and every employee in our company shouldn't feel alone. Okay. So we over-communicated, transparently communicated. And another thing is honesty in communication is very important to employees. If you tell them, listen, I'm having a problem, the company is going through a tough time, I need your help, they will understand. No need to hide anything from them. So I think transparency in communication, honesty, and over-communicating, okay, and telling them I'm there with you no matter what, was I think the ways that which is what I think we did as a company, and everybody did awesome, entire supply chain, production, finance, all of them, HR, all the leaders in their capability did their best to communicate down the line, and that's the way we kept the team motivated.
Oh, that's fantastic. Coming to the family business management, as far as India is concerned, of course, I have come across some of the research articles which praised the success of some of the family businesses, not only in the country, the worldwide. And it says more than 70 to 80% of the family businesses, they don't survive, they don't thrive beyond third generation. Now, I think you are challenging that concept, and you have been growing stronger and stronger day by day, year by year. May know the secret behind such.
No, I think the biggest secret is, in our father's second generation and the generation before, my grandfather instilling that sense of family in all of us. I grew up in a joint family, cousins and brothers together. We all, literally ate at the same table. So altruism became the order of the day for us. Okay, the greater good became more important. And we are a family first that is in business together. And and each and every employee is also part of family was the mindset that we had.
Yeah.
And then that's how we managed to grow. And I think the biggest thing is that the second generation of our family let us discover ourselves, let us travel. At a very young age, I traveled, and traveled with my cousins. We learned about each other, learned what we're good at, what we're not good at. Got us educated, insisted that each of us get educated well. So I'm an engineer with an MBA from the US. I worked in the US for 2 years. Pawan's an industrial production engineer with an MBA from Chicago. He worked outside. Kiran is a business perfume. Has done his undergrad in business perfumery and then his MBA from Case Western. Anirudh is an industrial production engineer, master's and a computer science engineer. Vishnu has done his MBA from Cornell and undergrad from Purdue. So I think education became a very big fact of our business. And Nikhil, who's joining the business now, has done his MS from Carnegie Mellon in product design. He's joining as well. So I think getting us educated, getting us global exposure was one of the key factors, that enabled us come back and work in the family business with that level of belongingness. The second factor, I think, was the level of trust that the second generation did in transferring power onto us. Not one day since I turned 18 did I have to ask anybody for money. Not once did I have to ask my father for more responsibility. As and when, we started to get better at what we did, they stepped back and they retired and transferred all the shares onto us as well. That is never done in family business. There's always a struggle and transition. And for us, I think that is the key factor that encouraged us as a third generation to come and step forward and work for the family.
Oh, great. That leads to a question on succession planning at NRS.
I think I've answered most of it.
That's right.
So the next generation for us is my son, who's the eldest, and then Pawan's daughters. So all of them are equal in our family now. The daughters get equal role in the business as the sons get, which is a very good change in the way we are as a modern family as well. So when men and women are all equal opportunity for us. And we're grooming the next generation. Hopefully, even if we do 50% of what the earlier generation did with us, we should be successful.
That's great. Mr. Arjun, which keeps you going?
No, I think life in general is amazing. It's all those small moments that you live for. It's not the big grand goal, in the end, but it's a small satisfaction, small happiness, that you look at, and that's what keeps me going. It's not anything great or anything big. A smile here, a small achievement by somebody in our team, a small goal that one of my employees, got. If they're able to build their own house, being employed in the company for many years. So a lot of my happiness is derived out of the way my employees are and the way the team is. The fact that as a family, we're able to make a difference to thousands of people across, indirectly, there are close to 30,000 families connected with the business. Each individual achievement, a small, goal achieved when one of my employees messaged me and say, my child has just finished his 10th and done well. So I think this is what drives me every day. The fact that any decision that I take affects, 30,000 people, but also the fact that any decision I take, I'm backed by 30,000 people, wholeheartedly is what gives me the drive to get up every day and do what I do. Of course, my family is amazing as well, as a support. My wife, Dr. Vidya, is an amazing pediatrician, and she takes care of everything possible.
Do you still spend time on sports, Mr. Arjun?
Of course I do. I think sports is an integral part of my life.
Exactly.
I pray to God that, I will be able to play sports forever and ever. I play tennis and golf very actively, and cricket whenever I get an opportunity. When our company's team captain decides to let me play, Mr. Suresh has to decide to allow me to play, and then I can play in the company team as well. But sports I think is very, very essential for development, of any individual. It teaches humility. It lets you measure your ability all the time. You know what you can and you cannot do. I strongly believe in sports, and I think it's important that you learn to play sports.
Do you see it as a stress buster too?
Yeah, anytime. When you're able to hit a tennis ball at 130 kilometers per hour, that's sure stress.
Mr. Arjun, your piece of advice to the young entrepreneurs, because Coimbatore, as you are aware, is known for small and medium enterprises. So many small and medium enterprises, and some of the people are also watching this. So what would be your advice to the small and medium enterprise?
I think courage to believe in yourself, to take the risk, to take the challenge, to take the is the most important. If you see from what my grandfather did and what my father and uncles did, they, when the country was not so conducive, they were willing to take the risk. Okay, the ability to take risk is, I think, the most fundamental difference between the best entrepreneurs and the rest. The second factor that I have learned to realize now is family support. Okay, entrepreneurs today require tremendous family support. When they're going to go on that risk-taking journey, more so if they're first-generation entrepreneurs, because there is opportunity for safety, because there is employment opportunities everywhere where you are secure. And without your family support, you can't fight against all odds and go there. Family needs to be there backing you day in and day out to go and deliver your best. I think getting family support is essential. Third is financial discipline. I see many entrepreneurs today are not focusing on financial discipline at all. Putting the fundamentals of finance intact, your accounts, your bookkeeping, your company management is key to scale. Because I've seen many companies fail because the owner ends up sitting behind the cash register and does not delegate that work. The entrepreneur needs to focus on innovation and consumer, not on cash, and creation in the stages.
Management education in India. Of course, all the management institutions have been going through very, very tough time, Mr. Arjun. There are around 4,000 plus odd business schools in the country. Okay. What would be your suggestions to the students who are passing out in 2021? Because they would have never come across such a kind of an environment, such a kind of crisis they would have never come across. Okay, this is the first time they are facing this. And what would be your take, or what would be your advice for the students who are passing out in 2021?
Yeah, I think there are two ways I look at it. First is what you get out of an MBA, okay, and then what you can do after your MBA. So for me, I regret not having gained some work experience before I went into my MBA. I just did 1 year of work experience, and then I got into my MBA. I wish I had done 3 or 4 years. So I would have had far more clarity on the way business operates. Okay. Personally, I have been brought up in our business, but I would have wanted to have a more holistic view of business before I did my MBA, so I could get the best out of it. Second, I wish I had spent more time listening to my teachers in my MBA school. Okay. Especially in the US, dwelled more into case studies and did more research on understanding real-time situations, because I think the case study method of learning is the best for me. Okay. I learned a lot on how other companies performed, what they did during a certain crisis, how they manage new product launches. But I was focused on marketing and branding in my MBA and international strategy. So I wish I had spent more time getting into cases, discussing it a lot more with my peer group and with my teachers, rather than looking at it as just a submission and a report to give. Okay. I think whatever lessons I learned in my MBA, I'm able to use it to the fullest. The fundamentals that I learned, of marketing and branding and strategy, it's really helped me, in articulating my thoughts far better. With my analytical background of engineering, with the management approach of MBA, it's really helped me, look at situations in a very good way. And so I think the case study based approach and learning from your peers, don't be afraid to interact with others, learn from industry, research, push your teachers as much as possible to get yourself more qualified, because you will use each and everything that you learn in your college. That's for sure. If anybody tells you it's a waste, don't believe them. Okay.
That's right. Okay.
And I think the third thing is doing some internship when you're in your MBA is very important. If your college provides for that, it's great. If not, you need to do that. Okay. I had the opportunity of doing my summer internship in France. I took that, but I was in a hurry to finish my MBA. What should usually take 2 years, I took double the courses and finished my MBA in 14 months.
Great. Okay.
My suggestion is in India, you don't have that choice. You have to do it in 2 years. So you can't fulfill your credits faster. So I took double the courses and studied day and night and finished my MBA faster. So take your time, understand, do internship, learn about business, spend time with your professors, and have an open mind, and then you'll get the best out of your MBA. And when you're getting out to the business market, I think stay relevant. Okay. I interview so many MBA candidates. Ultimately, the ones that get chosen are the ones who stay relevant, who know how to communicate well. So practice your skills well. use your placement officer to practice your skills on how to present what you believe in. So more than your MBA degree, when I interview candidates, I look for what they believe in and what they stand for, and the way they communicate. What they feel. The second important part is stay relevant. Learn how to use the current digital media that's available, because the dynamic is changing and technology is driving a lot of thought. Okay, so if you can demonstrate that you're technology savvy, it does not mean you have a LinkedIn profile and a Facebook profile. No, if you can demonstrate that you are technology savvy and you are able to adapt and learn and unlearn through what you've done in your MBA program, that's going to be a tremendous advantage over the rest, because all of us now realize that people who know how to manage technology of different forms are going to be there for the long term. MBA with technology is going to take you leaps and bounds.
Excellent piece of advice, Mr. Arjun. Mr. Arjun, we are left with another 6 to 7 minutes. Can we take up some of the questions from the audience side?
I have all the time. I blocked the calendar for you. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Nice of you. Thank you very much. Let us take up some of the questions from the audience side. One, Mr. Saravanan Lingamurthy is asking, any plans of IPO in the near future?
Not immediately, no. I think we are not as big yet, and not liquid enough yet. So there's a long journey for that.
Okay.
I'm definitely not there yet.
Okay, right. Mr. Nandakumar Dandraj is asking, Namaskaram, Mr. Ranga. All the products by your industry is fire dependent. Why is that? Unlike toilet products, which just emanate fragrance, just by exposure to air, the Agarbathi industry has not innovated a similar product.
Oh no, we have something called reed diffusers in our product called Iris, where you can put a reed sticks into a fragrance bowl, and then you get fragrance coming out. But our tradition and rituals are about Agni and the power of fragrance. Okay, and that's where the Agarbathi came about. Dhupa, Homa is what our tradition is about. There is no alternate to a fire product. So, but if you want a air fragrance product, we have many products without fire for fragrancing the home as well.
Okay. A question from an anonymous attendee. What are the new areas of growth you are working upon? I think you have briefly touched upon that.
So I think technology is going to drive the company going forward, and consumer experience is what we're going to start investing on.
Okay. Right. Abhishek PS tells us, thanks for the detailed discussion. It is really an eye-opener for everyone. Question number 1, what is the key thing to sustain in online market?
I think being available is the key. Okay, being visible is the key.
Okay.
If you're not available, you're not visible, you're not in the top page of Google. If they're searching for you, you're not relevant at all. Or if you don't learn how to sell on your own channels, it's going to be a major challenge for you. So online is a combination of digital marketing with Google today, but the landscape can change. Now, when I visited Google for a workshop, when I spoke to one of the technology heads, I asked Google, who is your biggest threat? What are your 2 biggest threats? Google said, my biggest threat is Amazon, because if people don't come to Google to search for products, my advertising revenue will come down. And Amazon is where they'll start going. And he said the second biggest threat for Google, he said, is government intervention in internet. Because the entire way Google and other companies market themselves is through capturing your user data and selling it to advertising. To geotarget, right? And if government brings about regulation that prohibits that, then these companies will have a tough time. And I think we are getting there. So when you're looking at digital marketing and opportunity of online sales, you need to understand that at some point of time, you won't have the geotargeting or the user data that you have today with cookies and other things, where you can actually focus on one customer based on his profile.
Okay. Right. His second question, quality and cost, which is playing vital role in the industry post-COVID?
I think quality always will play a vital role, and it's not cost, it's cost efficiency has become more important. How do you get the more out of the same cost? So it's about driving cost efficiency, not reduction of cost.
Okay. That's good. Okay, of course, Ranjit has asked about how did you manage your employees during the COVID time, which you have already addressed. Yeah, which we already addressed. Okay. Karthik is asking, what is your view on agar wood, sir? Why is it that so costly? What is in it that makes it costly?
Yeah, so agarwood is an endangered species and it is restricted for trade. That's the reason why it's costly. Very few people get the actual permit to market agarwood. Agarwood is actually a fungal infection that happens on the agarwood tree, and that infection actually becomes like a fragrance. It's for a tree, it's a very unique thing. And it's very difficult to harvest the agarwood tree. It's like rubber tree, but it's very, very difficult to harvest it. And it's available only in remote parts of Laos and Northeast India. And it's a licensed and a regulated product because it's an endangered species, and that's why it's expensive.
Okay. Vinod Hegde is curious to know your secret of your limitless energy.
No, I like to eat a lot, and that's where I get the energy from on the lighter note. No, but I think life is good. God has given us so much. We need to look at the positives, and that's what I get the energy from. Learn from the negatives, but look at the positives of everything.
Okay. Right. Again, a question from anonymous attendee. Any business opportunity for youngsters for self-employment with your company?
No, there's always opportunity everywhere, but we have a solid supply chain team that looks at opportunity, and we have vendors that we work with for our sourcing and procurement, and we believe in growing together. So we nurture our partners and then we grow with them. But there is always opportunity, definitely.
Okay. Mr. Hari Prasad says, good afternoon, sir. Thanks for the wonderful session. Which motivates you to empower women through your company?
Yeah, so I think if you go back 60, 70 years, the dexterity required to make Agarbathi, because it's such a delicate product, was dependent on women completely. And that's carried forward even today. So the nature of our industry is such that it involves women a lot, even in the fragrance creation aspect, the packaging, because it's a very delicate product, the handling of it has to be delicate and, with a lot of dexterity. And that's the reason why there is a lot of women involved in our business. Almost 80% of the women through our supply chain is women. The Agarbathi makers to fragrancing to packaging especially is all women empowerment. So it is a business need for us to empower the women that we work with and create women entrepreneurs who can actually manage the businesses and sustain it over a long period of time.
Okay. Right. Hari Prasad is also asking, what are the benefits you have gained by being a zero carbon footprint manufacturer?
Well, what happens is the entire organization gets the mindset of being sustainable. Okay. Today, being environmentally conscious and sustainable is a very, very important aspect. It's not yet government mandated, but we have kind of morally taken it as our responsibility, because people pray for a better life. And if we don't create a better Mother Earth, then what's the point? So the nation, most of our consumers don't even know what it means that we are carbon neutral, but we believe eventually they will understand it. And that's the reason why we keep it the way it is. That when a Cycle Pure Agarbathi is produced, there is zero carbon footprint. So whatever emissions happen, we plant enough trees or renewable energy to offset that entire carbon footprint.
Okay. Right. Mr. Lokeshwaran, my student, he is asking, sir, can you say the story behind the product Vedic Sampurna Lakshmi Puja Kit and how well it has been received in the market?
Yeah, so it has been received very well. What we realized is that people today don't have time, but they want to still continue with the Vedic or their traditional rituals that they did. More so once, you move out of your home and then you can't contact your parents all the time. And that's the reason why we created the simple kits that you can do with your family, where the entire process is already documented. It's like a DIY puja kit. And we have it for quite a few different occasions. So it's accepted well. It's only a matter of time before it becomes a mainline product for us.
Okay. Narendra Prasad, again, my student says, good afternoon, sir. Thanks for giving a wonderful session. When an incense stick is lit in one corner of a room, its fragrance gets spread to the whole room quickly. Which characteristic of these particles used?
No, it is the nature of anything that burns. Right? Okay. Cooking, in a home, when your mother is cooking in one corner, you can smell it in another. So Agarbathi is similar. That's the nature of that's the nature of fire and smoke. So.
Okay. That's great. Okay. Mr. Siraman, have you addressed all the queries?
There are a lot of questions in the chat box, sir. They're not.
Oh, is it so? Okay, chat box is not visible to me.
It's on the right side.
Sir, should I help, sir, the chat box?
Yeah, please, Sriraman.
Okay.
I couldn't access the chat box.
Sir, so indeed it was a wonderful session. Thank you for enriching with all your from chat box. Shanmugh Priya is a second student. She's asking what strategy you adopted when ITC.
Can you please mute this, Mohammed Zishan, please? Can you just
Shiraman,
I'm muting it. I'm muting.
yeah. Shiraman, I could see the chat box. Okay, let me be selective in raising some of the questions. Okay, Mr. Senthil, he has joined us from Singapore or Malaysia, Shiraman?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay, he is asking, hello, Mr. Raj, will you be able to train and set up a plant in Sri Lanka or Malaysia for young generation, which will really take yourself a big picture on society, either a private or government tie-up, so your legacy of cycle goes miles. We can see yourself as another leader, sir.
So we have set up our own facility in Sri Lanka already.
Okay.
We are in the process of setting up in Bangladesh as well. So yes, we are in the right direction of ensuring that our fragrance spreads across Southeast Asia.
Okay. Right. One of my students called Shanmugh Priya wants to know your competitive strategy when ITC entered into the market.
Yeah. So ITC is a very powerful brand, purely because of the distribution reach. What we did is we created our products, which are different than what they have. Okay. And they ended up trying to create products that we have to compete in the market. So they used the trade-led strategy. We used a consumer-led strategy and built on our service capability. We definitely cannot compete with ITC's distribution reach because they have their cigarettes across the country. They have the best distribution reach. But what our strength is in fragrance creation and product development, because they have been doing it for generations, and that's what we focused on, and that's how we could manage to, compete with ITC.
Okay. Megha is asking, how do you ensure your quality in your products?
So we do 14 different quality tests, right from the raw material ingredients that we use all the way up through the supply chain. Each and every Agarbathi stick, we do a test batch and we actually light it and see if it burns properly. The fragrance goes through a lot of QC processes. We use only IFRA materials, that is International Fragrance Research Association materials. And so we have a GCMS, we run a QC on each and every fragrance ingredient. And then once the product is packaged as well, we do random testing throughout. We have a solid quality team. We follow all the QC processes and protocols. We also have 3 different ISO certifications only to ensure product quality, right from our ISO for our OSHA's occupational health and safety to ISO 9000 for product integrity.
Okay. Mr. Arjun, this is a question from one of the faculty members from a neighboring business school. How can we motivate our MBA students to take up entrepreneurship instead of looking to be placed?
Yeah, I think to be personally, if you ask me, I don't think you should encourage anybody to take up entrepreneurship immediately after their MBA. I think getting outside work experience is the most important thing. My 2 years of work experience outside and coming from a family business, it really helped me establish myself. I think working outside for at least 5 to 8 years to understand yourself, what you can do, what you cannot do is very important. And then you can take the leap of faith, because you'll have some solidity in your thoughts as well of what you want to do. Unless you have a breakthrough idea that is going to revolutionize, the world, and in which case you need to encourage youngsters to think about it. But if not, I think in an MBA program, I think the primary goal should be to empower the youngsters to be able to go face the world out there, whether they are an entrepreneur or working as a professional, learn to do good and to build sustainable ideas and thoughts.
Okay. One Mr. Pradeep is asking a question. How does the customer's preference towards fragrances change among different countries?
Yeah, it's a very good question. We have over 600 different fragrances customized to each market.
600?
Yeah. And, just to give you an example, a country like France, where more of our lavenders and our floral fragrances are more popular, right? And then if you go to Southeast Asia, more of our traditional fragrances are popular. You go to Brazil, it's all fun fragrances like our peppermint, our cream, we have a chocolate fragrance. So they kind of become more popular. So it depends on the market. And it's also a little bit of seasonality as well involved in it, based on the overall fragrance and fashion trends that are happening.
Okay. Mr. Arjun, we have come to the end of the session, and many thanks for joining us. It shows your simple way of life. Okay, and of course, the moment we got connected through LinkedIn, I sent the request, and immediately you responded through your personal secretary, and that is how we could meet today. That shows your attitude towards the students, your attitude towards the society. Many thanks, and there are a lot of takeaways from your side. And on behalf of all the audience, we wish you very all the best, and God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I think collectively, if we can make a difference to a few students and youngsters who will make our nation stronger, and I think we should all do it, and we owe it to our country. So thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Arjun. I also thank